as an individual who puts a priority on wanting to hear God's voice and knowing what he wants me to do in my life, I also find it difficult at times to hear God's voice because it
Yeah.
feels like he's silent or far away. Is God just being mean, or does he really want to talk to us? Because
Yeah.
if he really wants to talk to us, I'm here saying, hey, let's talk. Where
Mhm.
are you?
Mhm. Yeah, there's nothing in God's character that is mean. He certainly isn't human. He doesn't live by our rules. And there's a beautiful thing about God. His whole desire is to reveal himself, not always just talk to us or say, should I go on vacation or not? Should I buy that car? Should I get that house? Should I marry that person? He's way bigger than that. And when I first came into the Lord at 17, I could say I heard the Lord. It was pretty exciting stuff. I mean, it was like the first time in my life I heard my Father in heaven speak into my heart. Son, I love you. I mean, that kind of, it was rich. 4 years into it, I came into an experience with the Holy Spirit that helped kind of boost all that. And I came into a theology of God speaks to his people, who my sheep hear my voice and all that. And then somewhere in my early 30s, late 20s, and I was middle of pastoring 800 hippies in Southern Oregon. It's like all of a sudden I couldn't hear a thing. I couldn't hear a thing. And I started thinking, have I done something wrong? Is God just kind of thumbing his nose at me, for me? What is wrong here? And what I learned, it lasted for 10 years. I had a 10-year spell of dryness where I can't say that I really heard the Lord. But what I began to realize was God speaks in a lot of ways. Sometimes a specific clarity. He said, I will counsel you with my eye upon you. That's very intimate. He also is the God of silence. And I think what Father is trying to teach us is to believe him and trust his word for what it says in times when he's not speaking into our spirits. His word, and then he speaks to us through our friends, through our family. There's so many ways that God speaks, but I had a 10-year drought of hearing the voice of God. And what I learned was the beautiful little truth that Paul said, let the peace of God umpire your heart. Let it rule in your heart. The word umpire, you're out, safe, and I learned not to have to hear God's voice, but to know that God loved me because he said so. And everything in my brain fought against that. So I find that a lot of dryness, a lot of confusion is people looking for an emotional, verbal response from God when he's already spoken and said, I love you with an everlasting love. And with the arms of love, I'm enfolding you. And are you going to believe it or not? And the dryness was a way of learning to live in the peace of God and not have to, I didn't have clarity on a lot of things. I just kind of moved forward. I raised kids, had my family, did missionary work. I planted churches. I got involved in business. I mean, and I couldn't hear detail, but I moved with the peace of God. I learned to discern the peace of God. It's our birthright as those that follow Jesus.